Alright, now what you could do here is take a straight edge and you can sand the whole length of it, get it trued. However, what I like to do is if you have this stuff works pretty easy, pretty like a dream, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, you know, it's whatever, it's early. I got a adhesive backed sandpaper. Comes on a roll for like DAs and stuff like that, for your pneumatic grinders and such. It's sticky backed. That's what I use on this. This is the thicker grit, or this is the thicker grit, and this is a little smoother grit. I also use the same stuff on this. This is this grit here, and then this is a smoother grit on the other side. This is just a piece of metal I found at work. It was laying on the floor. Got a nice shape to it, and I thought, well, I can find a use for that. So I picked it up, brought it home, and come to find out it works good for a sander. So made it work. But all I do with this is when I'm working a fairly long piece like this, I'll just take that piece of adhesive and stick it right to the front of my workbench. From there, I just take this and go back and forth with it. Yeah. All you're doing is just cleaning it up, truing it up, bringing it to a little bit more of a square edge, which I can see that's a little off on the end here, and a little bit off on this side. It tapers off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work the end here. Yeah, I trued that up. That squared that up a little bit. I don't know how well you can see that. Before I had a little bit of a dip right here and a little bit of high side right here. This side was a little low on the end. I just kind of evened it out. This piece might, yeah. See how it's a little thicker on this end versus down here on this end? You can true that up just by putting a little pressure in that area. And squaring it out. The other side shows this end a little thicker than this end. There you go. Just quick little easy tips and ideas you can play around with. And when you're done, you can just pull the sandpaper up and toss it aside, use it again later. Works out pretty good. So now I'm making a mess out of the bench. Oh well. So here, what you do is you can either take one of these, or if you have like I know a lot of people use the sanding sticks like ladies use on for their fingernails. Those would work too. I've used them in the past. I have some left, but they're all pretty used and worn out. That's what I came up. A good friend of mine, Ken, through the Butcher's Model Car Club, he came up one of the meetings one time, and he had these little foam blocks with him. He goes, "You know what these would work good for?" And we're like, "What?" And just stick a little piece of sandpaper on them and use it for a sanding block. So I was, well, that's an idea. So he gave me one, and ever since then I use the living daylights out of this thing. So again, it's just a piece of adhesive back sandpaper and stuck to it. Now you got a nice decent foam block, and it's nice and thick. You can hold on to it. But all I do is I just clean up the edges on it. Just to get rid of some of the burrs off from cutting it. Just want to clean it up so it looks good. Yeah, let's see here. There we go. Hard working on the camera here. cleaned it up a little bit off camera. I'll clean that one up later. This piece already has the one end cut on it from when I did the other one. And all we're going to do is just cut this again to give it that, just that drop down. What that drop down does is it covers up the end of the frame. Because if I was to hang just this off the back, you'd see the lower half of that frame hanging down. And what the drop down does, it just helps cover the ends of the frame rails up. That way you don't see the little bit of hanging down below it. Just helps clean it up a little bit. And all I did here, same thing, I just laid this on top of it and took the marker and then drew it, lined it up. Whoops, hello. And mark it for a cut and then cut it off. Today, I know a lot of you probably know, today is the 20th anniversary of the 9/11. For anybody that's, anybody worldwide I know has heard about it, know about it. Last couple of days, my wife and I, we've been kind of showing our daughter some of the videos and stuff. There's a lot of stuff on TV and airplay right now. But she wasn't alive when all that stuff happened. She never knew too much about it. And this year she's gotten into it a little bit, trying to understand it, whatever else. We've been watching some of the shows on TV, kind of getting her into it a little bit so she understands and knows what's happened years ago. But I tell you what, it's still, even 20 years later, it's still tough to watch. It's still pretty heavy on a lot of people's hearts here and in the world everywhere. Kind of hard to watch and kind of neat at the same time in a kind of a not so good way. But yeah, it was 20 years ago and it still seems like it was just yesterday. But that's your drop down. And all I did was, after that, is, let's see what I do here. How'd I do this? Oh yeah. You can lay this on top. Line up your ends, line it up on top, and then just come where your drop down is. Mark it to where you get an idea. Doesn't have to be exact. Draw a line on it. I think next time I'll put the backdrop in. I'm going to move the camera a little closer here. Get you all seasick here. Once you have that, get your lines. All I did is come in with your X-Acto knife. And you can just push down into this plastic. It's fairly thin. And then this is where you got to be careful too. You cut down in. Let the blade come across to where your cutoff is. And that piece just comes out. Go across the back the other way. What is that? Oh, I know what I did. Oops. Do over. That bumper's junk. Well, not junk, but next. I forgot this. The back side of this, you got to have a place to glue this piece onto it. So I didn't cut it all the way across. Using this piece, I was cutting out here. But to do that, this bumper I can still use. I'll just have to reinforce it I'll do that later. What I'm going to do here is just line up the ends. And then what I'm going to do is where I've already got this other one cut off at, mark it there, mark it there. That way it's a little narrower cut, narrower opening, it's not so wide. Start clearing that other one out. I said, that's a little wide. Again, just carefully cut down into it till you hit your cutoff area. Come back and hit the other one. Then take and clean it up. Alright, then you're left with that. Just a small little cutout at it, a little notch if you will. Clean it up a little bit, square it up. And this is where your piece, this piece here will lay in from the back side of it. Now this, you're going to have to cut. You can see how I cut the back side of this one out. I notched the back side out to where this will hang down and go over the ends of the rear frame rails. That way it doesn't stick, you know, otherwise it'll be kind of cocked like this out when you're on the back of the truck. You got to notch it to where this fits over the caps off the end of the truck. I don't know how well you can see it underneath there. Otherwise, it's going to be these drop-down tabs, whatever on the frame, you got to clear them. All I did there was mark it and... Oops. Golly. Too many swing arms here. All I did was kind of, you can measure this out. Wow. Stupid drainage going on. You could measure this out with a ruler and all that stuff. A lot of times I just eyeball it just to kind of get it close, get it somewhat centered. And all you're going to do is draw your lines on it. What I'm doing is matching up the notch that we put in here to here. Drawing the two drawing the two lines on there to match up there. That way this will be your frame. What I did was when I started out, kind of backtracking here, I measured the width of my frame here to here. And then I marked that onto the piece here. I measured it out. Measured the center. Found dead center on this one that I built. Found dead center on it, marked it. And then I measured the width of the frame. Divided that in half. Measured out, marked it, and measured out and marked, and that's where I came up with my cutout here, my center cutout. That's how I came up with that one. Let me get that one off the side there. I know I'm kind of backtracking on that. Sorry for that. Now on this here, before all I did was just pierce the plastic and kind of pulled it down through. It'd probably work better if you used... You don't want to cut all the way through though. You don't want to come through the front side. All I'm doing is I'm just cutting, using this just to get a... Oh, this is hard to do this way. Almost turn around backwards on it. All I did was just enough to cut through to where now I'm inside the plastic, where I'm inside the tube. all I'm going to do there is push it down to where you hit the resistance of the front side of the plastic. Oh, well, you can see that. Right about there, maybe. And then on the top side, you're not going to cut all the way down to here. I'm just coming halfway down through the plastic. I'm right about there. You want a little bit of a shelf here in the end. If I drew a line, maybe that'd help. Just give you a little reference. Whoops. All right. All right. Well, you can see the line. That marker's about dead. That marker's about at it. Then all I do is just cut across that line. I don't know how well you can hear what's going on upstairs. The cat's awake. Sounds like a herd of buffalo going through upstairs. Call it our herd of one. 5 o'clock, yeah, 5:20 in the morning. She's up there running around like it's playtime. Of course, it is probably her playtime, but and there she goes again. All right, you get to that point, then you got to cut across the top as well. And this one you want to cut all the way to the front side. But I'm just, whoops. I'm going to cut it just enough to get it clearanced to where I can get this piece out of here. All right, I'm doing a little work off camera here, just kind of, so it's not so time consuming. That's the notch across the top and across the back. Now what I got to do is clean it up a little bit just so it's not so rough. Might be 3D effect here. Spitting pieces of plastic at you. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Stupid humor. Sorry. One thing you'll learn about me, I got a different kind of humor. That'll cray. That's all good. Of course, a lot of people kind of wonder where my ideas come from. A lot of the builds that I do here, probably like, what the heck is wrong with this dude? I know you're all thinking about it. I know it's all going through your mind. Is this dude normal? Don't answer that, Brian. But then what you want to do is match it up like that, and that's going to be your final piece. And to do that, we got to glue it together. What I'm going to do is, I don't know what I'm going to do. Pull out super glue and Insta-Set. I don't know what you guys use as far as your methods of whatever you're using. I just use Gorilla Glue. Quick and easy to go over to Walmart and get this stuff. I have another one up here on the hook. I usually always keep an extra one just so I don't run out. And then I use the Insta-Set. This is from Bill Smith Industries, the Insta-Set brand. I just actually picked up a refill bottle for that this past week because I was getting pretty low. Now, all I do, the two little flat tabs here and here, I just dab a little super glue, just a little dot. onto each end. That one might be just a little too much. That's the nice thing about working with glass, or on glass. If you glue it to the glass, you can usually pop it loose pretty easy. Or not. All right. Yeah, and that's your bar. Taillight bar, whatever you want to call it. Oops. Big rig world, they call it an eye bar. There's a bar that goes across. They put it across the back of the fuel tank, so they put lights in it. And it caps off underneath here. Goes across ways. They call that the K bar. I know some of you have probably seen it on custom rigs where they've got underneath, crossways underneath the truck all lit up. Call that the K bar. The back end's the I bar. I don't know how they come up with the names or why, but that's it on that one. And then to get the lights in it, all I do is match up the bar, the old, the kit one. And then you can either eyeball it, or you can measure each one out. Locations for your tail lights. I guess I don't know. I'm kind of crude in some ways, I guess, but I like to just eyeball a lot of it and just kind of hit and miss. And then you can come down, use your straight edge to come down through the center. And this will tie everything, level everything off. And there you go. See how well my marker wants to work here. Yeah, the cat's downstairs now. Look out. And then that gives you locations for your tail lights. And that's about it. Then from here you just drill them out. And then you can put the red kit pieces in. I'm going to be using these 6 lights here going across. But I'll drill and cut these out. Get them set to where these lights will then sit down inside there. Once they're drilled out, opened up, I'm going to use this piece of plastic, the thinner plastic, and just lay that in behind it. And that'll create kind of a backing. There you can kind of see it. Maybe. Yeah, next time I think I'm going to use a backdrop. But you can kind of see it steps in, and that's the plastic laying in behind it, and that'll add like a backer behind when the holes are drilled out of here. That'll add like a backer, and then that'll be like a recessed pocket for the taillights to sit down in. And then those lights will sit down inside the pockets, if you will. Kind of like what I was doing on this one here. Oh, wait. I forgot I got it boxed off on the ends already. It'll create the kind of that pocket like that where you can set a tail light down inside that hole. And then the tail light itself will be recessed. Now on this one, this piece of plastic, all I do is just cut off a couple little pieces. Nothing too long. About yay long. It's about all you need. And then all I do is just take a little glue in the end, put a little dab around the ends. both ends. Like so. Use tweezers because I got fingers that don't want to cooperate at the time. Tweezers don't want to cooperate either. We're shooting plastic across the workbench. Alright. Then with that, all you do is just cap off the end. Like so. Let this dry, set up really good, and then you can come back with your flush cuts. Come in here and then you can nip off the ends. And then I'll give you your finished product. Then once all the glue is dry, you come at it with your sanding stick, sanding pad, whatever. Smooth it all out, blend it all in. You can even use putty if you wanted to, a body filler. Smooth it out, make it a little bit more pleasing, if you will. But all in all, that's about it. We're doing a taillight bar. Get to it. I'm going to do a K-bar on this too. When we get to that point, I can maybe do a little quick tutorial on making that one too. That one's going to be a little bit more trickier because you got the contours of the fuel tanks. You got to wrap the K-bar to the curvature of the fuel tanks to make it work and look right. Really quick, this piece of thin plastic that I use is this, number 139. That's the piece that I use to fall into the back of this. You can put it'll fit in the back end, and it also acts as your caps, your ends. Yeah, that's about it, I think. On that part of it, anyway. Like I said, I just wanted to do a quick update on the rig. I think it's about ready for primer. Are gonna get this shot in primer here soon, and then I'm gonna get it shot in color. It's gonna be purple when it's done. Haven't decided on the color for the cab yet, but the chassis is gonna be purple, I think. That'll be the overall length of it, the look of it. Again, for those of you that don't know, this is the AMT Superboss Papa Truck chassis right out of the box. Not stretched out of, I didn't stretch it, but right out of the box, it's already stretched to handle the length for hauling the Superboss truck on it with the bed on the back. I just left the bed off and went with the standard cab, flat top versus the Aerodyne cab that the kit comes with. I'm just going for a different look, I guess, but that's that. And yeah, hope everybody has a good day. Again, remember those that we lost 20 years ago today. Feel sorry, feel for the families that lost their loved ones, family members. Pretty disheartening day. Still is, even 20 years later. And I'm sure it will be 50 years from now. But, I know, words can't describe, I guess, sometimes. But anyway, have a good day, everyone. Take care and have a good day. Be safe. Keep scratching that plastic. Sit down at the bench a while and tinker with something. Build something. Anyway, have a good day. See you on the corner, everyone. Bye-bye.